Good afternoon, everyone. Let's just take a step back and see what can we do with maybe some of the tools that we already use. Tools like ChatGPT, tools like Claude, a lot of image tools. Like, what are other applications that a lot of people might not even know these tools are capable of, versus trying to overwhelm themselves and trying to learn a whole bunch of different tools all at once. So with that in mind, here we have things you didn't know you can do with AI. My name is Kushank. I've been a creator entrepreneur for 4 years. I started creating content in 2020. I initially started as a way to get out of my comfort zone, and I'm a generalist. I went to school for engineering, but I like building products, I like building things. So I got obsessed with 2019, 2020 on how I can leverage different tools, different workflows to bridge either the skill gap or the time gap. So maybe I don't have time to maybe do a certain thing. Can I leverage a bunch of tools together to be able to accomplish that task? And that's what I started talking about on my channel, Digital Samaritan, in 2020. And then some of the videos, which were about some of the AI tools back in 2020. So this one is Synthesia AI, that one's Copy AI, really blew up, back in the day. The AI wasn't as popular at the time. And I didn't really see that as a signal either. I was just like, cool, it's a useful tool, I'm gonna talk about it. Here we are, over 4 years later. Now, like Will mentioned, I have over 1 million followers across, different social media platforms. This involves TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube, which is one of the recent platforms. That is why we're also filming this video here as well, because it's gonna be available on the YouTube later on as well. But that's not what I do. I still like building products. So we have this little company called YCJ Venture Studio, where we're building some micro SaaS products. So this is one of our most popular products. The first one you see here, Prompt Genie, which is what we released in 2023. It's a prompting co-pilot. So we realized a lot of people, they don't really know how to write good prompts. It sounds silly that it's just like AI for AI, but it really worked. We've been seeing a lot of growth over the past 2 years. People love using this tool, and then we're spending a lot of time building this out. Alongside, we have Map This, which is a mind mapping tool, Looplytic, which is a customer insight research tool, and we have Blixie, which was just kind of beta launched like this week, which is an AI tool for email marketing. So these are some of the product in our studio. And I also like problem solving. So I partner with Megan over here, and we help businesses implement some of the workflows and solutions into the business. So I get to spend all my time every day of the week looking at all the different tools, different technologies, explore different use cases so I can bring it back to my audience, and also some of the use cases over here. So with that in mind, what things can we do with AI, which most people might not know that they actually can? So the way I like to think about, using AI is I like to put things in 3 different buckets. So the first bucket is create. So these are our Gen AI tools. For example, we're doing images, we're doing videos, we're doing text, we're generating ideas and captions and brainstorming ideas. So that's kind of the first bucket where AI is it's like the author, it's drafting things for us. The second bucket is synthesize, where we take certain information and then we're processing or transforming that information into other accessible formats or the format of desire. Think of this as we're summarizing a PDF. A very simple use case here. You have a PDF, you're asking it to questions what happened, in this topic, or what's the date when this happened. Now we're leveraging the LLMs to synthesize information in some manner. Very fundamental example. We're gonna go over some of the fun ones later on. And the third scenario is reason. So this is where AI kind of becomes our consultant. It's helping us reason, maybe give us some feedback. It's doing a lot more thinking that some of the first 2 workflows are not doing. And when you start combining all these things together, put them on autopilot, we kind of get into the space of AI automation and AI agents. I'm not going to talk about AI agents today. I feel like it's a complex topic. There's a lot of things that don't really work as the hype kind of makes them out to be. So we're just going to stick with AI automations for this presentation as well later on. And maybe down the road with William, we can plan one for AI agents as well. Alrighty, so create. Some of the simple examples, for create, like I just alluded to, we brainstorm ideas, we write blogs, we create logos, we use image tools, we do those Ghibli designs, we do video scripts, we do faceless videos. But those are some of the rudimentary, some of the simple examples, which I think most of the people here are probably all familiar with. So we're not gonna talk about those. We're gonna talk about something more fun. All right, before we get into that, let's do a little fun exercise. So which one you think between these 3 images is AI generated? Let's look at the first one here, the ad for Orca. Just raise your hands if you think this is AI generated or you think this is a graphic designer's work. AI generated? Hands for AI generated. Okay, we have maybe 25%. What about the second one? It's an ad for Apple Watch. One hand over here, couple over here. All right, a few more. What about the last one? Okay, a lot more hands now. Well, that was a trick question. All 3 are AI generated.
What? Let me explain.
So there was a lot of challenges with the AI image tools where you could not create images with good hands, or the text rendering was atrocious. You would try to put text onto the screen and whatnot. It would just not work. You couldn't get the fonts and everything. but this was just released last week with ChatGPT 4 image model, which is why you're seeing all those Ghibli renders of everyone on Instagram and LinkedIn and everywhere. But there are a lot more things which people don't know you can do with this tool, with this upgrade for a model. And one of the examples is creating these ads. So again, you can leverage it in so many different ways. You can augment your skills as graphic design to be able to turn your concept into images, or the best scenario, which I think is going to be more common, is to rapidly iterate your ads, create multiple versions all at once. Maybe here you want to do this for a different example. This is like a mango peach. I mean, this blue color doesn't go with it, but maybe you change this color for something else and whatnot. You have a different branding going on. You want to experiment different colors. You can create a whole bunch of different assets very quickly without having to hire someone and then experiment that on your ads platform or whatnot. So how do you create these images? So here's one example. So this is what I tried. So I took this screenshot of a hoodie from Zara's website, and I wanted to turn this into like a product photo shoot, which I don't have any experience with. So instead of just asking it to like, hey, just let's do a product photo shoot, I first ask AI to do the brainstorming for me. So my prompt here is like, can we find a creative idea with the model wearing this hoodie in a fun scene, and then create a Facebook ad for this washed quarter zip hoodie from Zara? So very simple prompt, and then ask AI to first kind of create the concept for me. So the ad concept here is off-duty, on point. Scene, a model in the hoodie is sitting on a grocery cart in the parking lot at golden hour. Hoodie slightly unzipped, sleeves pushed up, sunglasses on, sneakers dangling off the cart. They're sipping iced coffee, looking totally unbothered and effortlessly cool. There's a vibe, there's a tagline, there's a caption. This is the result I got. I was impressed. At first glance, when you're like scrolling your internet, you're probably not gonna see this is AI generated. But when you look closely here, you will see the foot over here is actually kind of getting out of the cart. So AI is still not perfect yet. There's hope. But I mean, to be honest, I don't think it's gonna deter anyone to run this ad on the platform, as long as, of course, there are disclaimers. I'm not entirely sure what Meta policy is about, ads generated by AI and the disclaimers around that. But the idea is we're probably gonna not notice that when we're seeing internet, we're scrolling ads on stories, LinkedIn, and other platforms. Here's what I noticed some other people are doing in terms of creating these images. So this is not my example. This is, user Sanjay at Play on X. So what they did, they combined these images. So there's a product image, then we have, Madman guy, then we have a nice car. And then the caption, the prompt here is generate an ad of Don Draper with a hairstyle and hat on, sitting in the Jaguar E-Type, make the ad for fragile hat. Headline should be punchiest angle you can cook up if you were Don himself. This is the ad I generated. Again, one of those examples where I would not be able to tell if this is AI generated photo shoot. Even if I could, I wouldn't probably care. It still looks pretty aesthetic to me. The idea here is that there's two ways I think you can start leveraging these tools. Like one is to kind of ask AI to brainstorm the concepts, or you start kind of putting multiple assets together and ask AI to kind of merge those assets together into a single ad. One thing to note, for every text that you want to mention here, it needs to be mentioned promptly, it needs to be mentioned appropriately in the prompt that you want the text to read this, and this is kind of where you want the positioning for the best results. But maybe, you not run ads, you don't have an e-commerce business, you don't have business that runs on ad, you want to do other things. So here are a couple other use cases that I identified that's pretty cool for this new model. So infographics. So I just used a very simple prompt, make a visual infographic describing why Vancouver is so rainy. I wasn't expecting it to be something crazy. I was it's probably going to be just some clouds, some mountains, and some lines here and there for arrows and whatnot, but this was the infographic I got. Again, I did not submit any assets or whatnot. We see here the Science World, we see the Harbor Center building, we see kind of the Vancouver colors. This was all rendered just using the image tool. I mean, I don't think I can do this in Canva. I would probably need fancy graphic design skills to be able to accomplish this. And then I was like, why stop here? I have a newsletter where I talk about a bunch of different workflows. I was like, maybe I can just create a summary of that as a comic strip that people can share online. Again, I was able to do so. So you can start thinking anytime you want to do any image asset, you want to do any visuals, maybe for inspiration, maybe for ideas, perhaps you can start leveraging the Fora model and then create those images. Okay, we're going to move on to the next use case. Okay, so coding. I know a lot of people are familiar with, GitHub Copilot, Cursor, where a lot of engineers are able to leverage the AI coding agents and stuff to help them debug code and whatnot. But there are other opportunities for non-technical people as well to be able to leverage the AI coding tools. For example, here, Megan here, she's working on this project right now, and she's not technical. And then her idea is that for a consulting side, we want to build an ROI calculator for the clients, for the prospects, where they can put in the tasks they may want to augment or automate. So they can generate the time they're going to save, the money they're going to save, and when they're going to get the ROI. So typically, you would either do it yourself or you hire someone to do it. But what if, we can just turn that from a prompt? So the prompt that you generate describing everything you want to build, the AI was able to kind of like build this sort of dashboard to be able to accomplish that task. Note a quick caveat here with these tools though, as much as they're great, but the security is a bit of an issue. So I would not try to build something that would have sensitive information or would store a lot of user data. So this is a very simple, just kind of like a cost ROI calculator sort of thing. So it's work for these sort of like little widgets, but if you do have something that would require data privacy and sensitivity around that stuff, I would involve a developer on board just to make sure all the API keys and everything is like secure. And a quick hack that, again, the 4.0 ChatGPT image model can also do really good front-end design. So this was the design for like a random Spotify type clone I was able to generate. And you can give it to those AI coding tools like Lovable or Bolt, and it can actually render this design on the front end pretty much one-to-one. Okay, moving on. So AI UGC. So we've just talked about some images stuff in terms of creation. So let's talk about creating some videos. Again, as humans, like AI humans are getting real and real, so are their video lookalikes as well. So we decided to experiment with some of the AI UGC videos. So for Prompt Genie, we had this Instagram channel. 2 years ago, we hired someone to one of my friends to do UGC content. So she would film herself with herself on a computer trying to do something. And then we would stitch the video with the product demo with a call to action after that. So we have a hook with her, then we have a demo, then we have like a call to action as a video format. The videos were not doing as well, and then we were losing money because we were spending a lot of money hiring her and all that stuff, so we kind of put that on pause. But with these recent tools, I was like, what if we can just try that with the AI generated avatar? Maybe that's going to help us increase the volume on the channel, and maybe we'll get better results. So this is a video we created. So this is an AI avatar that was created, turned into a video, and with a little hook on top, and then we have the product video for Prompt Genie. So this was kind of the video that we did. We posted on Instagram. The channel at the time had 300 followers. And then this was the video that I was showing my team how to do, this kind of workflow, so they can do it without me. And I just posted it within 5 minutes. And this video is almost doing 1 million views now. Damn! A lot of comments were like, hey, is this person real or not? Then we had to put the disclaimer that this person is actually not real. But we got a lot of engagement. We got a lot of traffic onto our platform just through this video, which was cost us a few cents to do. And then this was all AI generated. Has anyone here experimented with AI generated content or videos or ads? Okay, a few people. So the idea, basically what's happening behind the scenes is that you're generating the avatars using the Flux model, which is by Black Forest Labs. And you're using Kling AI to turn those avatars into images. Or you can just leverage tools like Realform or UGC AI, which kind of does this for you. So here we have an idea where we can just put the hook on the top. So we can just put the text hook. We can either create our own avatar, or we can pick one from the templates, and then we can just stitch our demo video. And that's put the video together, and now we have a video ready to go and published on these social media platforms. Do I like where this is going? Maybe not. I mean, it's going to render me useless because technically all the content could be done without me. But from a business perspective, I have seen results. I've seen some ROI on my own content on the channel here. I think it's pretty cool still. It's not going to go away. So we just have to find a balance between how do we balance, or how do we mitigate human versus AI generated content and avatars. All right. So these were some of the things you can do from the creation perspective. We're using Gen AI to do things from very scratch. Next up, we're gonna go over some things around synthesize. Some of the use cases where you're leveraging AI to synthesize some of the information. So I think most of the common examples for synthesis that most people are familiar with, you can turn your notes into presentations. The tool for that is Gamma. You can turn webinars into blogs. You can repurpose your cross-post your content. So you can leverage ChatGPT for that. You can turn your videos into tweets, LinkedIn posts, short form content. Blotato is one tool that kind of does all that stuff for you. There's PDFs to podcasts, so Notebook LM, PDFs to videos, Hagen. So Hagen does that too. It can turn content into a video podcast. It's not that good right now, but I'm sure it'll probably get there. And then you can turn PDFs into mind maps, which is MapThis, which is what we built as one of our tools. But I don't want to talk about these use cases. I think most people are familiar with these. So I'm going to talk about some of the interesting use cases that I've used personally and I've come across. So this one is case studies. So I'm sure most people right now are using, some sort of meeting note taker. For online meetings, you're able to get transcripts from your call. So what if you take your meeting transcripts, you have customer calls, you have customer interviews, you take all the transcript, of course, with consent, let customer know what you're doing with the data, and then you add it to Claude and you ask and you write a prompt. So this is a transcript from a customer call, add it to Claude with the prompt. Your task is to turn a user interview transcript into a well-formatted case study, and these are some of the following structure I want in my case study: introduction, problem statement, solution approach, result outcome, key learnings. So traditionally what you would do, you would either hire someone, have someone in your marketing team to like go through all your customer transcripts and then turn that into a case study. But now we can do that with a single click. So here, that turned into this dashboard in Claude, which this well-structured case study. One thing to note here, I mean, of course, you can mention in your prompt to like make sure it doesn't hallucinate. But since you're providing a lot of information here already and you're asking AI to do the case study based on the information, it's unlikely you're going to run into any hallucination issue in this case. So I like using Claude versus ChatGPT just because like Claude with its artifact feature, you can get like these dashboards, which look a lot more cleaner and readable. And you can literally copy paste this content onto like other platforms. Maybe you want to add it to your website and whatnot stuff. Because this is all like code that's generated basically. So you can like, give it to your team to add it to your websites and whatnot. To be able to like get these dashboards, I will just add to the very end of my prompt, be like, please turn this into an interactive dashboard. And then Claude will turn these dashboards, which you can kind of visualize your results a lot better. Next, I want to talk about deep research. I did a talk like about a month ago, and a lot of people in the room were actually not familiar with the deep research tool and its capabilities. Who here has used Deep Research Tool? Okay, a few people. Who here has never heard of Deep Research Tool? Okay, so the people who have used Deep Research Tool, how have you used it so far? What have been your use cases? So for those who are not familiar, Deep Research is basically like a feature you would see either on Gemini paid version, ChatGPT paid version as well, and then Perplexity. So Perplexity has it for free, but it's like the least of the best among these tools. I would say OpenAI is the best, and the Gemini 2.5, and then Perplexity. So what it does is like, it's sort of like if you're trying to research a topic, for example, planning a trip to British Virgin Islands, or researching like companies in a certain space, or any topic you want to research, it would try to do what we would do for the research. We're going to go onto Google, we're going to type, hey, I want to research for this. We're going to see a bunch of blue links. We're going to like go open a new tab, open a new tab, open a new tab. We're going to go through each one of those tabs and like read all the information, trying to put that copy paste into Google Doc and trying to put it all together. So Deep Research Tool basically does all that for you on autopilot. So here I just trying to like do a deep research on like, conduct a research and report about market landscape for a SaaS, which uses AI to conduct and analyze user interviews. This is a deep research I wanted to do on an idea, and then it created this plan first. The report will create market size and growth trends, key players, emerging startups, customer segments and use cases, common pricing models, and technological trends and differentiators. So first, it's going to go through like all those different sources that it's going to find relevant information. In this case, right now, when I took the screenshot, it went through about 38 different sources. So that's like 2 different pages on like Google search. And now it's going to turn all that thing into this massive research report that you can refer to. So this is what a Deep Research Tool does. Here are like some of the use cases that we've seen like people use for deep research. One is like finding market trends. Then we have like customer sentiment. Maybe like, you're like a big brand, you want to see what people are saying about your product or your brand. And then it's going to go through like different forums. It's basically everything that's publicly available that you can search by Google. It's going to go through all those sort of sources. It's going to synthesize all the information and bring it together as a report. The same way we can do content research. So maybe you want to know like what are the things people are actually interested in. You want to use it for your content marketing, you want to use it for social media content planning, you want to use it for something else. You can just do like a customer research. Again, it's going to go through all those different sources, different forums, different research other people have done and papers and stuff to bring that research to you. It's super handy for competitive research as well, because again, when you do competitive research, all you're going to do is like go look at their proposition, look at their pricing model, look at whom they're serving to and all that stuff. But now it's going to do that for you. It's going to find those competitors. It's going to do the research for you and put it together into a report. The same way you can do it for market research. And then one of the interesting use cases that we recently tried is building lead magnets. So we were able to build a lead magnet using the Deep Research Tool that got us almost 3,000 people on a mailing list within like 2 weeks. So here's what we did. So for a prompting tool, we realized that people who understand the importance of prompting and the need to write good prompts and they understand the structure of it, they're more likely to become our customers. So we need to probably help them where they need more help with, which is first help them understand the need of prompting and good prompting principles. So maybe we can put together a course, maybe we can educate them first. So what we did a deep research on different, models, methodologies, and techniques for different prompting. So we asked AI to deep research, and turn that into a prompt engineering course for like non-technical people. Then I took all that course, which was like massive. It was like a 30-page Google Doc. I used Claude to turn that into a 12 bite-sized chapters, because of course, no one's going to read that big 36-page document. So we turned that into like bite-sized chapters that we could, deliver in more like bite-sized, more digestible content so people can learn over time and they can actually absorb the content. Then I used Beehive as my email marketing platform to turn those 12 chapters into like 12 courses, 12 different emails over 12 weeks. So that way they have 12 weeks to learn. They feel like, they're absorbing information. We take them from beginner to more intermediate and advanced. So they're learning over a period of time. It's enough time for them to memorize, experiment. There's lots of exercises in the course as well. Lots of examples so they can try it, they can actually learn. And of course, in every email, we plugged in Prompt Genie. So of course, we can track how many people end up becoming a customer. Here's what happened. I launched this course, just talked about it on the channel, and we were able to get a lot of people to subscribe, take the course, and the feedback has been really good. I was not expecting this to be the feedback, like, this much positive feedback, but I'll take 77.89% as 5 stars for like, about 100 people taking the survey so far for the course and the material of it. So yeah, this is how we use deep research as a very different use case and turn that into a lead magnet, which is now helping us generate this. And it's on Beehive. It's an inbuilt like, ad network as well. So been able to generate like, $100 in revenue too. So kind of like negative cost of marketing really. All right, the next one is SEO audit. Another use case that I've tried here is like quick SEO audit. Of course, it's not perfect. It's not gonna be like your agency you're gonna pay thousands of dollars for, but it's a really good sanity check. So what we did is we took like the HTML, so we just kind of extracted the content from our page and also some competitors. You can use like, different tools like Apify to be able to do so. And then we just added that to Claude, and then this is the prompt. By the way, all the prompts you see are generated by Prompt Genie. And then this is a prompt that we gave that we want an SEO, on-site SEO kind of audit for this things. For this web page, we're looking for, the page titles, the header tags, the image optimization. Site speed isn't the prompt, but that doesn't really work because it can't really check the speed. The linking structure, the XML sitemap, and like all that stuff. So now we can just kind of like do a quick audit of our SEO, just on-page SEO, just leveraging the LLM model within Claude and then the data that we just provided. So again, we're just synthesizing the information that was already there, the web page content, and we're just leveraging the model to turn that into a different artifact, which is going to be like a quick little SEO audit. Again, disclaimer, this is not going to be perfect. It's just a good sanity check for us because we don't have the money or the budget to hire an SEO agency to be able to do this for us. So we're just doing it using AI. Okay, now we move to the next bucket, which is like reason. So this is where we get AI to like start thinking and like, be our consultant, be our strategic partner in some of the work that we do. This use case is something I borrowed from HubSpot's marketing team. They shared this in a podcast, which is like a persona simulation. So what I did here is I created, I had personas for Prompt Genie, who's our ideal customer. I added this to Claude, to a Claude project specifically. So not just a Claude chat, so it's a Claude project. Claude project is basically similar to like custom GPTs. It's just their version within Claude platform. So I've used a persona PDF here, and I have some project knowledge, which are my instructions on what this project needs to do, which is to kind of like audit based on my persona. So what you can do now is like every time I have a new marketing asset, like, let's say we're doing a new landing page design, I can just add my landing page asset, I can add my marketing assets, and I can ask Claude to give me feedback based on the perspective of my personas. Instead of me trying to like figure out, is this the right copy? Is this, the right sort of language we're using or whatnot? Is this webpage gonna work? Should we do A/B testing? Of course, I should do all that stuff. But before that, I'm getting a simulation of what different personas might even think, what things are missing, what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths. So I'm like simulating feedback on my assets before I put it out there. So I can leverage this feedback, have a critical thinking, see if this actually makes sense, or maybe AI is just making nonsense right now. I've tried that for like my content ideas. I've tried that, some of the copy work I've done. It's pretty useful. I've been able to get better results just because I was able to tweak based on the feedback I got before I went live. The same way, I can use the same workflow for brand alignment. Maybe you're very particular about your brand voice, your brand image, and you want everything you put out there to match the brand. Either you would have a consultant who's going to go through everything to kind of make sure everything aligns, or again, you can have a Claude project or a Claude chat where you put your branding guideline on top, you put your new marketing assets, and then, or anything you're trying to put out there, and you just get a feedback on how well it aligns with your branding. So it's leveraging the information that you're feeding, your SOPs or your guidelines, and now it's reasoning over the content you're sharing and coming up with some ideas or conclusion or feedback in terms of what you're trying to do. So this is to me, one of my favorite use cases from reasoning models is to be able to provide it with reference of what I want to do or how ideal things should be, and getting feedback from what I did just based on those guidelines. All right, next is data analysis. So before I begin, I just want to mention data privacy as a disclaimer. We're using these LLM models. If you're not an enterprise plan, just make sure your team, your company is okay with you doing that stuff, just because we do not know how these companies like, Claude or OpenAI are using your data if you're not on enterprise models. But, I don't care about my data as much, at least the data that I've put out there. And I love, these reasoning models like ChatGPT o1, Sonnet 3.7, or Gemini 2.5 to be able to turn my data into insights. I don't like spending time writing a lot of Excel formulas, trying to do a lot of Python coding to write those visualization stuff. Here's my data of my TikTok. These are like what I was trying to say, the hooks I used, the content views I got, the category this video was about, and the hook type that I used. And I just turned that into a quick visualization that summarizes like TikTok category by hook type for performance. It's a heat map. So I know like every time I'm trying to do a new piece of content, okay, like this is like my content type, which hook type should I use just based on my previous data? And I've tried that. It's pretty accurate. It's helping me quite a lot in terms of like identifying how I should be structuring my content. Very simple example of like how I can just leverage these models to be able to process and analyze data a lot faster than I would otherwise trying to do everything by myself, or hiring or calling a data analyst on the team, but like, hey, can you do this? Because most teams don't have data analysts on site or whatnot. So this is just like the visualization piece of it. There's lots of other things you can do. There's user onboarding data you can like sort of dissect. You can look at user conversion patterns, trend analysis, projections, forecasting, customer segmentation. Basically what's happening here is that when you upload your data and you ask whatever you want AI to do, it's just writing Python code. It's turning your request into Python code, and then it's just projecting that analysis as visualization. And it's reasoning over those data and like finding those trends and patterns, which reasoning models are pretty good at, just identifying those patterns from like big chunk of data. So these are, I guess, some of the use cases that are pretty common for data analysis stuff, if you have never used that for data analysis before. But for enterprise users, Microsoft Copilot and all those stuff, like they all have this inbuilt now as well. So, you can be more secure with your data privacy. So let's jump into some fun AI automations that I've built for myself. These are not things we have done for the clients. These are just the things that I've done for myself for the most part. Okay, so this one, let's call it Harvey. I just called it data, like, my contract reviewer, but I was like, let's just call it something fun. It's Harvey. So with like content creation, I get a lot of brand partnerships. So like every brand partnership, there's like contracts that come in, and I'm not a big fan of reading, and like all those legal documents are like not super fun. So I just built a simple workflow where every time there's a contract that comes into my Gmail, it is sent to ChatGPT, where it's just like analyzing based on certain criteria I've set. I just want to look for the red flags, the yellow flags, and the green flags in the contract. So in my prompt, I've already told these are like some of the red flags that you should think about. These are some of the yellow flags you should be looking for. These are the green flags, which should be fun. So I've kind of like given some examples of what are these flags are for me. So now every time I have a contract that lands in my inbox, I already have a Slack message, which tells me these are the red, yellow, and green flags. So before I review the contract, I kind of have an idea of what I should be like kind of looking out for. So the red flag kind of gives me like an idea. Okay, I just need to pay attention to this clause because like this is not what I want, but it's kind of like a good, I don't know, like a trick for at least my brain that I don't have to like read this document as well, because I kind of have an idea of what to look for. Again, not a legal advice here. This is something I use personally use case here. This is something I built recently, which I want to use for my prompting, the prompt engineering one, turn the course into a newsletter after, which is like generating a newsletter automatically on autopilot. So it's useful for someone like you just want to like do industry updates, or who want to like has a very strict format of what your newsletter should be based on things that are happening in the industry. So what's happening here is like every week on a schedule, I'm going to trigger a request to Perplexity. So Perplexity is like Google, but with AI. So it has access to all the recent links and information. So it triggers a call to Perplexity, and my prompt says like, look at this information in the past, 7 days in this space. So it's gonna go do the research, put together all the research, and here you can actually use Perplexity's like, the deep research API as well to be able to do deep research if that's what you want. And then it takes that information into Claude and then tries to like put that into a newsletter. And now I have that content of newsletter structured into a Google Doc, so I can just have a final human review and then, like sort of publish it onto my platform. I was struggling with one step here, and Aruna helped me figure it out. So just a quick shout out here to kind of make this automation happen. This one is a sales call prep sort of workflow. So for our consulting services, we have people book calls through Calendly. So what's happening here is that every time somebody books a call, the information is sent to Clay. So Clay is like it's kind of like AI for like salespeople. It has like a bunch of pre-built workflows which can do research of the person based on what's on the LinkedIn, what's on Google, what's on the internet about them. So I'm like calling that tool, and then it's kind of doing all the research, and then I'm putting back research together as a summary in terms of what I need to know into a Slack message. So before I jump on a call, I can just go to my Slack message, I can just see who this person is, what they might want, what they do, and I'm like more prepared for that sales call without kind of doing that research manually. So this is like my sales call prep automation. And again, the simple stuff, content repurposing automation, where you can like upload a media asset. For most companies, it could be their webinars, the workshops they do, their internal meetings, and you can like turn that into different content types, LinkedIn posts, tweets, newsletter stuff, blog posts, whatever you want. So you can just take you can summon information, the automation automatically sends it to your ChatGPT or any other AI model, and you have your output, however, different modalities that you may want. Thank you. So this QR code will link to just the contact information, some of the tools that we build, some of the services that we do. And then there's a feedback form. I would really appreciate if you fill that out. It's going to take 30 seconds, just like quick check boxes. And I'm going to drop the links that were just for all the tools here as well, and probably drop the link to the presentation too, if you want to need this for reference later on. It's going to take you to a Notion doc. And now we can do some Q&A.
Thanks so much.